Welcome to the Space Dreamers podcast, a Sue Madre production.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Lift off and the clock has started.
Roger, 0J, and I feel fine. Roger, 0J, and I feel fine.
We should have just done this live
What do you mean?
tomorrow morning.
Yeah, right. They go live at 3:30 in the morning. So
Oh, God.
I don't know. Okay, welcome to the Space Dreamers podcast. I'm going to give a warning up front that if we do any kind of mess ups or any kind of long silences, they will remain in the recording because I don't have time to edit this bad boy. It's going live in like 9 hours.
Cool.
So that's on us to not fuck up. So this in this episode, we're going to be talking about a book called The Ghost from the Grand Banks, which was released in the year 1990. By Arthur C. Clarke. It's his 17th solo novel. I'm sorry, 18th. Wait.
Yeah.
18. Yes.
Yeah, 1920. Yeah.
Yes. 18th solo novel. It's about raising the Titanic.
Mm-hmm.
Ready for this trivia, Amy?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know when the wreck of the Titanic was discovered?
No.
Have you ever thought about that? The fact that it sank in 1912, so like
Right.
you kind of know where it sank, but you can't find something that's 2.5 miles below the sea level under
Right.
the ocean.
Right.
So do you know when it was found?
I feel like they mentioned it a couple times. Was it like in... No, I don't have any idea.
1985.
I almost said the 80s. I should have gone with my gut.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. How long? I wonder how long... I was just about to say, I wonder how long they've been searching for it, but obviously since it went down.
Right. I find that really interesting. It's weird because I remember when the movie came out, right? 1997.
Yeah, okay.
I was 7. And I remember before it came out that there was like, I just like remember, remember thinking at the time there must be a reason that this movie is like coming out.
Right.
And if you think about it, it probably just took 10 years to develop the idea and the script after finding out that it's there and putting eyes on it. You get what I'm saying? Like, you know how Titanic opens with like present day?
Right.
But the development of a
right.
movie like that starts way before the movie comes out.
Right.
So clearly James Cameron like realized, you know, like it came back to the public's attention. That interview for example, the
right.
interview
Yes.
I sent you
Yes.
was done in 1985. Gee,
Right.
I wonder why.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It got everyone's
And if you go on
interested
YouTube,
again.
if you go on
Yeah.
YouTube, you can see like that was breaking news.
Yeah.
That was like on the news. We found the Titanic.
I mean, that's amazing.
I know. Like, did you take any time to think about the actual event or watch videos or read about it?
So I have a long-standing history with Titanic. Like, I grew up with that song, that
Right.
nursery rhyme song,
Yeah.
horrible, creepy song.
Yeah.
So I have been obsessed with Titanic like pretty much my whole life.
Okay.
Do we have an issue?
No,
here?
I was just checking.
Oh, okay. Technologically, we're sound.
Yeah, it's just one of those things like because like I remember when the movie came out, so it's just that was like a phenomenon or whatever. But it's
It was
such
a big deal.
I know.
Yeah.
I remember I saw it at the IOCA. I remember seeing it. I
Right,
remember it
yeah.
being a big deal.
It was so real.
Yeah, and I want to watch it again now. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a good movie,
Yeah.
you know, but I just haven't watched it like with that eye of it just being like a historical epic, you know,
Yeah.
rather than whatever it was at the time.
Yeah.
But like I watched a video, everything about it's just so fascinating, dude. Like there's I read like I watched some video that said that like it could have happened. Like they think that there was a fire burning down in one of the like where the iceberg hit,
Mm-hmm.
they think that there was actually like a fire burning down there that weakened the steel.
Oh,
That like maybe that's why
right.
just one little iceberg sank this
Yeah.
giant ship.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think it's verified at all.
Mm.
But also I also read that like the interview I sent you with that woman,
Mm.
she was 7 years old, right? And she survived it.
Yeah.
And she mentions, and other people too, like this has been a thing ever since, that there was a ship that was close enough to save everyone,
right.
but that it just didn't.
Yeah.
And it's like, why not? It's just weird.
It was very weird.
She was like, there was no way that ship, like it wasn't a light on the horizon. It was
Yeah.
a ship. I could see it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I mean, big things in the ocean are scary.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being there?
No, I can't even imagine like the scale of the boat itself.
That's what's so great about, I know, that's what's so great about that movie is I think it does a good job of being
Right.
like, this thing was fucking huge.
Right.
And it sank in 3 hours.
It's
There's this video that I've watched before, and I didn't watch it in real time. I skipped ahead a little bit, but it is a real time, so it's 2 hours and 45 minutes long,
yeah.
animation of the sinking
Oh.
with words on the screen explaining like with timestamps of like when things happened. But also it's like, how do you know that these things happened at these times? Because it was chaos, like, and there was no one there with a camera. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's just so fascinating. And there's even a shortened version, like one with like James Cameron doing like a voiceover. I don't know, man. He just describes that the front of the ship sank like a torpedo, like it went straight down, pointing straight down. Can you imagine? Like, obviously, no one was there. It's like if a tree falls in the woods type shit.
Yeah.
But like being a fish and just it landed like
Yeah.
what? Like, imagine like what happened when it hit the ground. I just can't even. It's so crazy.
Yeah, I actually remember that's one of the scenes in the Titanic movie that really like made me think of things differently is when it does go up on its end and all of a sudden you're like realizing that like if you were still on the boat, like just how high in the air it would have been like it's just wild.
It's horrifying.
Yeah, every single thing about the Titanic is just incredible.
Yeah, and they were like kind of close to Canada. You know?
Weren't they off of Newfoundland or something?
Which is part of Canada.
It is?
Yeah.
I thought it was its own thing.
Well, it's like a province
Oh, okay.
of Canada.
I know nothing about
It's
Canada.
above. It's just above Nova Scotia.
Oh, okay. Why did I think I was... Oh, thinking of Greenland. I'm an idiot.
No, you're not an idiot. It's just
Geography.
yeah, and like how that woman said. Did you watch that interview?
Yeah.
How the woman said she was like until the lifeboats ran out, there was no panic.
Yes.
And then once the lifeboats ran out,
Right. That's when people...
you would be in like that's a crazy thing, dude. Like once you got on the lifeboat, you sat there for 2 hours and you watched it happen.
Yeah.
Like sure, you were like freezing
Yeah.
cold,
Yeah.
but you were in relative
you-
safety watching it.
Yeah,
happen.
I can't even imagine that.
It's just crazy. But
Yeah.
like, dude, so many boats have sank. Like why? I mean, I get why, but it's just this one thing that everyone just has such a interest. It's just so crazy that it happened.
I think it really though stems from the opulence and the negligence.
Yeah.
You know, those are the two big things that combine together. It's just an incredible tragedy.
I know.
It's wild.
Yeah. Yeah. So what did you think of this book?
This book was interesting. It really had me going in the beginning.
Okay.
It was very like the way that it was structured, the way that he wrote it, where it jumps between all of these characters was really different. Like he's done it in other books to an extent, but this was really chopped up, and it really worked well to get me really intrigued. Like I flew through the beginning of this book, it. Then we get to the midsection, and it just turns into a lot of random things.
Yeah, this book has no plot.
No, and no culmination, no climax. No.
Yeah. Dude, the best part is the octopus, in my opinion. 'Cause
Yes,
it's
that part's cool.
It's the only
Yeah.
chapter that is like a scene.
Right.
That has like it starts. It's like
Right.
not action like an action movie, but action like things like it's a description of things happening
Yes.
in like real time.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else in the book is like that.
Yeah.
Like okay, why is Edith and Donald Craig even in the book? What do they even do? They take smoke and cigarettes out of movies.
Yeah.
Why are they in this book?
I'm literally at a loss. Like I don't know.
Right?
Like I have no idea.
And then once Ada dies, it's just like what does this I mean, it's sad, but what does this have to do with anything?
I don't know.
And even like what does the Mandelbrot set have to do with anything?
I don't know.
It has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah, I know.
But then again, man, it's like you have to realize it's like these things were being discovered.
Right.
He only wrote this book because 5 years previous they discovered the Titanic.
Yeah.
So the Mandelbrot sets, and I watched a video that was on television. It was either late 80s or during the 90s. It could have been during the 90s. And it was Arthur C. Clarke's 7 Wonders of the World. His own, like what he thinks are the 7 Wonders of the World. And one of them is the Mandelbrot set.
Yeah.
So the dude was obsessed.
I mean, it's a
cool.
really cool thing.
Yeah.
Like the imagery, as soon as not with the little illustrations in here, but as soon as I looked it up and saw the imagery, I was like, oh gosh, yeah, I know that. Like I've seen that before. And so it's really fascinating. But yeah, and so that's the thing. I feel tricked by this book. You know? Like I felt like everything in the beginning of it was so interesting, and then what was the point?
Wait, so, and the other thing is, yeah, like nothing culminates. I mean, the ideas, I say this a lot about Clarke, but I feel like it's worse in this one. The ideas are interesting.
Right.
Like, and like if you were to describe it, you'd be like, that sounds like a cool book.
Right.
It's like 2 different groups of people who are racing to raise the 2 different sections. Yeah. Which is like convenient because they're 2 different sections.
I know.
That they're not actually racing against each other. They're just and each
I thought that's where this was going. That's the thing, is like every time, like I thought there was going to be some conflict. Silly me.
Right.
We're reading a Clarke book.
Yeah. But there's just there's barely anything about what they're doing. I don't even know like what I read. Like what did I even read? I don't know. Like it's not a terrible book, but it's just like
right.
Like okay, you're gonna freeze the back part in an iceberg and raise it, and like, but there's like 2 scenes. There's like 2 moments where that's even visually described. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And then they don't get very far with any of it.
Right.
And, you know, it's funny because you're talking about these things, and I pretty much, you know, retrospectively after I finished it, my mind didn't even wonder about the Titanic. It wondered, like, what was the point of, like, the villa and the brothel? Dame Eva or whatever, the psychologist.
Oh, yeah.
Who was a madam.
Yeah.
Like, what was that all about?
I don't know.
And then what was with, like, Bradley? Like, what was his deal? Like, and then like you formed this like close relationship with Donald. It's like described very oddly. Edith ends up being a lesbian.
Yeah. Oh,
And
okay.
like, and she ends up like in a relationship running off with the nurse that took care of her in the mental institute, and that's okay.
Yeah,
Like,
he even described that part as like that
Yes.
should be done more.
yeah,
Like what?
there were just so many, like, you're right. Like, I don't even know what I read.
Yeah.
Like, and it's such a weird thing to be, as I was reading it, as I read these books, I really enjoy actually reading them.
Yeah.
While I'm reading them, I am there. I am in it. I'm understanding it. I'm curious about it. I'm thinking. I'm doing. But then when it's all over, it's like hard for me to say anything nice.
Yeah.
It's a very strange phenomenon.
Yeah, I know. It's weird.
And I think this book just like, you know, really illuminated that for me.
Yeah, I feel like because what it's about is so random anyway.
Yeah.
You know, it's like random to begin with.
Yeah.
I found myself in the beginning realizing, like in the beginning, it was like kind of futuristic. He like made an attempt to realize that this is in the future.
Right.
Like the whole explanation of the spinning glass to get rid of the water
Oh, yeah.
on a ship.
Yeah. The wave wiper.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that was interesting.
It was totally interesting.
And then the bubble thing was interesting.
Right.
Like how they're going to use little glass spheres to raise the Titanic.
Yeah.
I even like the scene where the guy ate one
Oh, right. Yeah.
was kind of cool. And I liked how they were like, well, those things are going to get lost in the bottom of the ocean. Aren't you worried about like ecological disaster? And he's like, yeah, in 1,000 years, it'll be sand on a beach.
Yeah.
Like that was like clever and interesting. But I guess like you said in the middle, like I don't even know. And it's like you don't even think about the fact that you have like 40 pages left in the book, and like they haven't really done anything except for
No.
prepare. So
Right.
like, I mean, it's hard for me because I knew that they didn't raise it reading it this time.
Right.
But it's hard for me to go back and be like, while you're reading it, you must be like, are they just the whole thing that they're trying to do? Is that all going to get wrapped up in like 2 chapters?
Yeah.
You know, what were you thinking?
What I was thinking was that I really, truly, once it got into the repetitive, like this is what's going on, and this is what's going on, and this what's, you know, when they just got to the actual like raising of it, attempting to and doing all of the things that they had previously just been, you know, had just been ideas. I got a feeling that we weren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
So then I wasn't surprised at all when, lo and behold,
Stupid earthquake.
yeah.
Yeah. It is.
And then all it becomes is all it culminates with is like, you know, Bradley trying to save his
Robot.
robot,
Yeah, give
And
me
then
a break.
and then he dies.
Does he? I didn't even realize that.
Yes.
Bradley dies?
Yes.
How? Jesus.
He
I
gets
thought
over
that
to-
was outside. I saw his reflection and I thought that was like a coyote out there. That was crazy.
He dies. He the thing over the mudslide
Really?
overtakes him. Yeah.
All
It's like, it's a classic. It was really funny too. It's like the classic, it was a classic.
Final line.
Yes. Oh yeah. This, it says, it was too late to fear or regret. In the fraction of a second that was left to him before the sphere imploded, Jason Bradley had time for only a single thought. This is a good place to die.
Okay. Yeah. I remember that, but I feel like I remember thinking that it would have described that death, but I guess, yeah, he was just leading up to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I figured
Because
it would
then,
pick up after,
well,
but then it doesn't. So.
no, it doesn't. It goes straight to the villa.
Yeah.
And Donald goes to the villa and they're like, yeah, like, welcome aboard, Mr. Craig. Any friend of Jason's is a friend of mine. Friend? You guys going to be doing some kinky stuff. Like, what in the hell? I love that concept though. I love the concept of a like a madam, like a becoming a psychologist. I just love that concept.
What is a madam? What are you talking about?
Like she runs the brothel.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see.
She's
I
like
see,
the
I
head
see. Right.
lady. She's not like the actual like ladies that work.
Yeah.
Like in like Clarke is obviously like what about with brothels?
Yeah,
what was
the radar one?
Yeah. What is that?
I can't remember what that lady's name was.
Yeah, Olga?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like that.
Yeah. But okay, I think some of the stuff he talks about is interesting. Like, the other thing that it's cool to this book makes you think of is like, was raising the Titanic ever a thing that anyone thought could be possible? Because it's definitely not possible.
Oh, I'm sure people,
dude. What the
wanted
how the
to.
fuck? Like, how would you do that? Like, especially because you have. Could you imagine? Like, I would love if it happened because imagine the helicopter footage, right, of whatever had to tow it because you have to tow it underwater.
Oh, yeah.
So you would have to tow that thing.
Yeah.
How would you tow that thing if it was underwater? Like it sank for a reason because it's full of fucking water.
Yeah.
Like there's no way.
So I think if Clarke as an author was thinking about this, I mean, I know he's also like a scientist or whatever too, but think about all the people out there who are purely scientists and engineers who are like, in my spare time, I'm going to think about ways to get the Titanic out.
I wonder what is the most viable option because I doubt anything that he said is viable. That all sounds like ridiculous.
I don't know the iceberg. I don't see how in the hell that would work. But the spheres, that actually seemed like a plausible idea.
Yeah. To make it float. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. But definitely the idea, like, what would you do once it, hit the surface? Like, it would just start.
Well, like they say, yeah,
right,
it would start rusting,
disintegrating.
So, it would be very cool if the front part of the Titanic was off the coast of Florida and you could take a little sub down and look at it. Like that would make money. Like people would do that.
And even the option for the other part of it, where they were going to take it and put it like they were going to basically like build an aquarium around it so that you could walk down and like see inside. I mean, wouldn't that be so cool?
Yeah, but the other problem is that it's so big. And the thing too, when you like read about the Titanic and like not just like it's been surpassed in size since, but at the time it was a gross. It was like too big. Like the whole world was just obsessed with big things at the time because we were coming into this age where we could build things big.
Right.
Like the Empire State Building, like all these big things were being built because of like the industrial age. And I think that the Titanic was a reminder of, listen, like some things are too big. Yeah. Like you can't just keep getting grand and big. Like there's no need for that.
And also the other part of the problem is how much, like how decadent it was.
Right.
So it's like they spent all this time and money and decking it out in the most gorgeous things, the most luxurious stuff of the age, and yet, forgot lifeboats for what, like 80% of the people on it?
Yeah.
Like
1,500 died. 1,500 lived, 700 died. So there was enough room for like 1,500.
Yeah, it's insane.
So like 2/3 basically only.
Yeah. And it's just crazy.
I know. Yeah, I agree. And just it's just so crazy. Like we're talking right now.
Yeah.
And it's on the bottom of the ocean right now.
Yeah.
Like right now. That's where it is.
Yeah.
And it's like 3 football fields long.
Yeah. I wonder if anyone goes there anymore.
I think James Cameron like lives there part time. He's got an apartment down there. No, but he like has made he's made like multiple documentaries about it. I don't think it's like a regular thing, but I agree. It's like the moon, It's like you go down there to check it out, and then it's like, why would I go back? I don't know. The other crazy thing is it's so damn dark down there that any image you see of the whole thing on the bottom of the ocean is a
Right.
fake image. It's like a composite image.
That's so wild.
'Cause
I never thought about that.
Dude, the thing that's tough too is that, and it almost makes you sound like ungrateful. If you look at footage of it on the surface, it's like not interesting footage because it's like so close and you kind of don't really know what you're looking at.
Right.
And it's just, I would love it if someone went down there with like now technology, like really good cameras
Yeah.
and really powerful lights. But that would just be just to look at it, like I don't think
Yeah.
anyone's gonna spend the money to do that.
I think I take for granted too that like we started this by saying it's always been, as long as I can remember, I've known about the Titanic. I wonder if there are people who don't know about it, or even care anymore.
Well, you got to consider like people that are a lot younger than us.
That's what I'm saying. Like, obviously it was brought back into popular culture because of the movie, but. And it's still, there's a lot of, I just saw on Instagram, like this weekend, like a
On the
Halloween
door.
costume.
Jack hanging off the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, obviously it's still part of things, but it's just interesting. I wonder how many people you might ask and they would go, what are you talking, the Titanic, what are you talking about?
The other thing that's really important to emphasize is that no one ever called it unsinkable until after it sank.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like,
There's like a lot of lure that's been built up around it.
a lot of it's just not true.
Yeah. Because you have to be a complete moron to say a boat isn't sinkable.
Yeah.
Like what seafarer, what captain would even get on a boat that someone had said that about? Like, I don't think so.
Right.
Superstitions abound in that area.
The one thing that I found really fascinating too about, let's face it, the event is significantly more interesting than this book.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I found really interesting when I was watching that 3-hour video is because everything's obviously hindsight, and we've seen the $200 million movie that depicts it.
Yeah.
Whether realistically or not, it's like right there. You see it, condensed. What was so fascinating is how long it took. Because what makes it fascinating is that when you watch a video, it has all these things come up like this engineer told the captain this, and then this engineer came from a different part of the ship and told him this. And so he, in real time, the people working on the ship had to piece together what was happening.
Right.
Like, we know that an iceberg cut a 300-foot cut in the front, and it filled up all the tanks, and it made the boat sink, right?
Yeah.
But if it's happening in real time, like, you don't know all those things. And again, the sheer size of the boat means that in order to get to one part to figure out what was happening, you then have to walk all the way back, dude.
And they didn't have elevators. Did they have elevators?
I think they did. Yeah, no, they did. They did. That's even in the movie.
Yeah, you're right. As I said that.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Okay, they had elevators.
they didn't have a bunch they weren't everywhere.
Yeah.
But anyway, like, you had to discover all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it mattered if they discovered it any earlier
Yeah.
than they did, but especially because there weren't enough lifeboats. It's not like they started getting people on lifeboats too late. The lifeboats ran out before the ship sank.
Yeah, it wasn't the problem.
It's
But
just
yeah,
so
you're
crazy.
right. Like different, I think we focus on the layman point of view, which is just to be an innocent person, running to the deck, looking for a lifeboat, not seeing one, But think about it like from the perspective of the captain and crew. Like, you're right. Like, you would have no idea what was
and
actually
especially
going
because
on.
it was midnight.
Right.
Like, have you ever looked up pictures of icebergs, like real icebergs?
Yeah. I've seen
It's just fucking crazy, man.
Yeah, it's completely insane.
Just everything about that, man. Just fucking.
Right.
Why would you sail a boat through that? Crazy.
Yeah, and like there are so many boats that sail through that and they're fine.
Yeah. Well, they didn't have radar.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you have radar, you can detect that shit far away. They were leaning on
Yeah,
ding
maybe.
dongs in the crow's nest, who just like what do they know? No, but in that video, dude, it described that there's something we know about now that distorts horizons, like a weather effect.
Yeah.
And they think that was happening at the time. That if this effect wasn't happening, they would have seen it further out.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
There's just so many. It's just such an interesting exercise in what ifs.
Right.
You know, what if they had enough lifeboats?
Dude.
Would we even be? No one would care. It would just be another boat that sank.
Right. Yeah. The other thing is another just horrifying, just shit. And stuff they leave out of the movie because you have to. Because I'm going to butcher this, but basically, you know, it had the 4 smokestacks.
Yeah.
Those. You want to know why they were so tall?
No way.
It was because the thing that ship was pumping out so much soot that if they were any shorter, the whole boat would have been covered in soot.
Oh wow.
So again, I'm going to butcher this, but that whole as soon as they hit the iceberg, they turn the engines off.
Yeah.
Just turn them off.
Yeah.
And I guess that's not how that works. So I think you shouldn't just do that.
Right.
So there was a buildup of steam in the engine area.
Yeah.
So for a full hour of the 3 hours of the boat sinking, the smokestacks were screaming deafeningly. So not only were you on a sinking ship, but the additional a deafening roar for a full hour,
like a tea kettle.
Yeah. Which is left out of the movie because if you leave that in the movie, then everyone's fucking screaming at each other, and you can't have a movie. Yeah. And it even says in the video I watched, it's like the noise is not we are lowering the noise so that you don't have to listen to it for an hour.
Oh, wow.
Like these poor people did while they're trying to figure out how to save their own lives.
Which is so wild because the thing that people always focus on with the Titanic is what the stupid band was playing.
Yeah, I don't care. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and now it come to find out, if you have that piece of information, it wouldn't matter what they were playing.
Well, it was, from according to this video, it was only for the first hour.
Oh.
Eventually, whatever was making that noise escaped. But then also, you remember, it's in the movie, there's that grand ball, the grand staircase.
Yeah.
It had a glass dome over it.
Yeah.
And so the boat sank front first, and it, according to the people who were there, when that glass dome gave way, the boat just went faster, even faster, because all water's just pouring into that giant hole. So the boat was like, "Oh, we're sinking. We got an hour." Then just nope, we got 15 minutes.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm gonna have stress dreams tonight.
And there was another thing that was in the video that I can't remember. Something happened where I think maybe it was when the front smokestack fell. It caused a wave, and people described it as a wave of humanity, meaning the wave washed over the deck.
Oh,
and just washed hundreds of people out into the ocean.
Oh my god,
dude! It must have been horrifying, and it's crazy that 1,500 people survived, and we're walking around the world for another 50 to 100 years
after having witnessed all of that.
Yeah. And that's, I guess, and then, I guess that's
Can you imagine survivor's guilt too?
Well, I think that's why we know so much, because usually when you talk about a boat sinking, there's no one to live.
Right.
It's anyway.
Jeez.
Oh
my word.
It's just scary and sad, I guess.
Yeah. Thank gosh I get horribly seasick.
Right.
And so I don't ever go on boats.
Imagine seeing it snap, too.
No, I can't imagine any of that.
Just crazy.
I can imagine it to the extent that, I've seen things like that, done with effects in movies, but I cannot imagine that happening in real life right in front of me.
Or even, when all the lights went out. That thing had lights. And then at a certain point, they all went out. So you're in the dark. It was pretty far down. It had sunk. It was half of it was underwater when the lights went out. Is that crazy?
I'm really stressed out right now thinking about all of this. I'm never, ever setting foot on a cruise ship.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Never.
I would never go on a cruise ship. Not just because it would sink. It
Never.
just doesn't sound like fun. But anyway, I'm trying to think. There's
I forget
I marked some sections here, but I started looking at them when I finished reading, and none of them are good.
Yeah, I marked a couple of sections too. One of them was really good though. It was I loved this one about the octopus.
Hit me.
Many years ago, he had been a reluctant small boy on a school tour of a famous botanical garden in southern Georgia. He remembered practically nothing of the visit, but there was one item that, for some reason, had impressed him greatly. He had never heard of the banyan and was amazed to discover that there was a tree that could have not one trunk, but dozens, and each a separate pillar serving to support its widespread canopy of branches. In the present case, of course, there were exactly 8, though he did not bother to count them. He was staring into the huge jet black eyes like fathomless pools of ink that were regarding him dispassionat's
Yeah, that's like a moment in the book that's really
it's
good.
So good. And I just love how it's like it goes back to like he's in it, man, but his brain goes back to when he was a kid on a school trip.
And it's
just great.
Clarke doesn't often have moments like that where it's like real time cool thing happening.
Yes.
And that moment, I remember that moment. I remember him comparing it to the roots.
The banyan tree. Yes, I loved it. I just loved it.
Wait, how about this one?
Yeah.
Clarke's just being funny about himself. He says, for the last few minutes, an idea had been forming in the back of his mind. Rupert's reference to the Japanese fishing floats had provided the first vague hint, but it would never have come to anything without one of those extraordinary coincidences that no self-respecting novelist would allow in a work of fiction. That's pretty good.
Yeah. I really enjoyed this as well. When Ada, she starts out and it says, she understood the words and spoke from the heart. The most beautiful thing that we can experience is the mysterious. It is the source of all true art and science. He to whom this emotion is a stranger, who can no longer pause to wonder and stand wrapped in awe, is as good as dead. I'll go along with that, thought Bradley. He remembered calm nights in the Pacific, with a sky full of stars and a glimmering trail of bioluminescence behind the ship. He recalled his first glimpse of the teeming life forms, as alien as any from another planet, gathered around the scalding cornucopia of a Galapagos mid-ocean vent, where the continents were slowly tearing apart, and he hoped that before long he would feel awe and wonder again when the tremendous knife edge of Titanic's prow came looming up out of the abyss. Isn't that good?
Yeah.
That was really good.
That is good.
Like, that's like beautiful, which just goes to illustrate why when you're reading, it's so good.
Yeah.
And so I'm constantly torn. Like I said, I feel so terrible for like tearing this book apart. Because as a whole novel, man, not that great.
It just doesn't have a plot.
Yeah.
It's plotless.
Yeah. But, like, you get to read, by reading this, you get to read paragraphs like that.
Right.
And you're just like, dang.
Imagine, like, being the dude who was like, they must have known they were close. You know what I mean? They're like, we're going to find it. Like, we got the cameras down there, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then, like, being, like, watching.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if they're doing it with video. I guess I'm making this shit up.
Right.
But just being like, dude, that's it right there. We found it.
And then, like, it starts, like, you know, like a knife. Like, it starts at the point, and then you just start seeing the whole thing. Like, couldn't imagine.
Gosh.
Gosh.
I have that part marked that you read too. Wait, let me see. Let's see. I have the part that you just read also marked.
Yeah.
Wait, I have two at the back here. I do like this line. At the end, he says, "This time, Titanic was lost forever to the race that had conceived and built her. No human eyes would look upon her scattered fragments again." Which I love because at the end, that's still true.
Yeah.
No human eyes.
Yeah.
But, and so here's the thing. It's like, and here's another reason I think Clarke, I remember not loving this book back in the day, but then when you read this final chapter, You're like,
Yeah.
oh shit, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I remember, I feel like even at the time I told you, I was like, so I read one of the non-space Clarke novels, and fuck, man, it was boring. But the ending was amazing. Like
Yeah.
he made up for it.
Yeah.
But then to have to go back and actually read it again, it's like you still have to read all the stuff that's
Right.
not the amazing ending.
Right, exactly.
But what'd you think of that ending?
It was great.
It's so dope, dude.
It's totally great.
And it's great on so many levels because it's like it would be in the middle of a mountain because it got buried.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
And then it's just so cool. Like, it just gives you like perspective, I guess, in that it's just so cool. Like what was started by us in the in the 2000s or whenever was completed by dispassionate aliens,
Right.
like millions of years in the future.
Which is utterly plausible.
Yeah. And it's so interesting. Like, that must be why that's all they find, is because it was buried and maintained in a mountain.
Right.
Probably everything else, like, crumbled. Everything
Yeah.
else we built crumbled if it was exposed to the air.
Yeah.
But this thing survived because
Right.
it's in a mountain.
Yeah. And because, I mean, according to this book, it gets covered by this mudslide.
Right.
So it would just be buried, and then it would just be like continually be buried, and
Right.
like you said, end up in the middle of a mountain.
Right.
So yeah, everything else is exposed. So
I mean, there's like no weather effects happening to
Right,
it.
right.
It's like stuck.
yeah. Yeah.
Dude, do you know how far apart the two pieces of the Titanic are?
How far?
A full kilometer.
How did that happen?
Dude, because they had to fall 2.5 miles. And think about it, dude. Think about it, dude. The front of the ship,
Right.
was already pointing down at an angle
Right.
when the back broke off. So it's a ship, so it's designed to, like, because it's a point.
Yeah.
It's designed to travel through things.
Right. So it would have cut down
both
through
the air
yeah.
and the water.
Yeah.
So whatever direction it's facing, it's designed to go in that direction.
Yeah.
So it fell at an angle.
And then also probably when the back fell off, it probably floated a little or something.
No, the back went straight down.
Really?
Yeah, because the front of it was obviously not the front. The middle where it broke,
Yeah.
was obviously completely exposed to the ocean.
Right.
So it just filled up instantly.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Remember, even you see in the movie, like the back is it sinks like vertically.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I read, I don't fully understand this, but like James Cameron mentions in the quicker version that like it was sinking slowly and then decompression happened. I guess all the air at once that was trapped inside like exploded, like escaped, and then it just sank like a fucking stone. But dude, for like, 10 minutes on Earth, the Titanic was hurtling through the ocean and smashed into the ground. That's just
So wild.
insane.
Yeah.
It's kind of dumb to just be like, isn't that crazy, man? But if you really think about it, it's fucking crazy.
It's completely insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm never getting on a cruise ship.
And like, dude, the people in the lifeboats didn't get saved. Like, the fucking sun had come up, but by the time a ship rolled up and was like, "We're here to save you,"
And
like,
it was-
we're fucking freezing.
And it was, and the Titanic was gone. Like, it's always so wild when something really, really big just disappears.
Yeah,
Like when you watch like buildings, how they like pull buildings
Right.
down, like they set off the
Demolish 'em.
explosives
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff, and it's just like there was something there,
yeah,
and then it's gone, and so like it just must have been so weird, like when the sun came up and you saw what was you saw all the boats around, and probably like a lot of debris,
yeah.
but like the gigantic thing you were just on has vanished.
Right.
It's wild.
Yeah, and also it's interesting to think about. There's like a 10 square mile debris field on the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
Like everything is just falling off like in
Right.
different places. There's like intact furniture just on the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
And I like how Clarke goes out of his way to explain, like, people are like, oh, that's like, were there bodies? And Clark's like,
yeah.
it's a very hungry world down there.
Right.
Like the
Right.
fish don't care that this is a tragedy.
Yeah.
This is a good thing for them.
Yeah, totally.
You know?
Yeah. It must have been very weird for the sea life, like you mentioned before.
Well, yeah, because there's what you call a whale fall. When a whale dies and falls to the bottom of the ocean, it becomes a hive of activity. It becomes a feeding ground. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to eat the boat, but
It actually has it has a name, a whale fall?
I think that's what they call it, yeah.
That's very
there's
poetic, but
Yeah, I think like on Planet Earth or one of those documentaries, they filmed one and they speed it up. So you just see all these, there's like crabs and fish, everything just comes to it, strips it to bone, and then leaves.
wow.
Yeah.
The ocean is fascinating.
I know. Yeah.
And
it's horrifying.
And that's so, oh yeah, definitely. And that the vast majority of everything takes place in the pitch black.
I know.
It's just like, wow.
Wait, I want to show you one other thing.
I also love that, what was it, Imperial Earth? Because I read there's the introduction to this and how when he wrote Imperial Earth, because the Titanic is in Imperial Earth as well, when he wrote that, they hadn't found it, so they didn't know it was in two pieces. So
Right.
in that book, he talks about it being resurrected as completely intact.
Yeah.
Like, it's so wild.
So this is crazy that basically the middle of the Atlantic Ocean,
What is this that you're showing me? It's like
it's
a map.
it's a topographical map of the bottom of the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean. There's a
Yeah.
fucking mountain range between us and Europe and Africa.
Oh, I see this.
Isn't that crazy?
What are those lines across it?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's wild.
But it's just interesting, like all the different, there are so many different like distances from surface
Oh,
to,
totally.
and where the Titanic sank is 2.5 miles.
That's the other thing that's just so crazy about our world is that because so much of it is underwater, like all these land features,
Right.
because that's land.
Right.
If you take the water away, that's land. I mean, because the whole world is land, there's just water covering the land. But it's just so crazy how I feel like we talk a lot about like the grandeur, like the scale of things. It's like we don't have that because we have so much water that's covering so much.
Right. I mean, islands are literally mountains,
I know.
you know?
It's
Or like because the sea level rose on Earth, like that's why there are so many islands in what do we call like the Australia, what's that? It's like a landmass. Like all that's all islands because that's
Yeah.
like, that used to be land. Like
Right.
that's all really raised up,
Right.
you know?
yeah.
And
It's just fascinating when you think of our world as not our world, how alien it would be.
yeah, it would be a trip because it's so diverse.
Yeah.
But wait, real quick, like look at hold on, maybe I can zoom in. Look at you see like right off the coast of the east coast of the United States, there's like, it just drops off.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's completely insane.
It's like a canyon underwater,
yeah.
but a massive one.
Yeah, it's wild.
Dude, there's in the Museum of Comparative Zoology in Boston, there's like something, it's like there's a part of like the Atlantic Ocean, like kind of near Massachusetts, but in the middle of the ocean where you can't see land,
Yeah.
where the ground is like 40 meters below the ocean of the below the surface.
Really?
It's like this random shelf.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I find
That's
it
weird.
so fascinating.
Oh, it's completely fascinating.
Or even like, I'm pretty sure the Andes, the Andes and the Rocky Mountains are the same mountain range. It's just that it goes underwater.
Oh, that's weird.
You know, because it goes down the
Right.
United States,
Right.
and the Andes start like on the left side
Yeah,
of
yeah,
South
yeah.
America. It's the same mountain range.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just part
weird.
of it's underwater.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
It's very weird.
Gosh.
Yeah. So,
And again, it's interesting that, thank you, Clarke, for like making us think about all of this stuff.
right.
Like he just has a way of presenting you with things that make you think differently about the world, the universe, the galaxy, whatever he's decided to focus on.
Right.
It's just fascinating.
I would assume at the time there was probably a lot of interest in this idea.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Less than 5 years after discovering it,
Yeah.
I'm sure there was chatter, especially in the scientific community,
Oh, totally.
of like, can we raise it?
Yeah,
Should we raise it?
Obviously, he was interested, and so like, it must have been so exciting for him.
Right. I
He
mean,
mu-
dude, the other crazy thing too, like Clarke he didn't die that long ago.
No.
Like he probably saw Titanic in the theater.
Oh yeah.
You know?
I hope you did.
Yeah. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Oh wait, did you catch the part about 2001, the movie?
No.
Well,
It's not-
he does find a way to talk about another random scientific thing that he loves to talk about, just like Y2K and how
yeah.
everyone who celebrates the new year on 2000 is a fucking idiot. It's like,
Yes.
okay, Clarke, we get it.
Yeah.
But he says, it made no difference. The psychological effect of those 3 zeros was too powerful. The fin day, whatever that means,
Yeah.
ambiance too overwhelming. This was the weekend that counted. 1 January 2001 would be an anticlimax, except to a few movie buffs.
Oh, that's right.
Which is pretty funny.
Yes.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that. I loved that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did, and it was so interesting. This, I learned like, I found myself like looking up a lot of things because, related, like I knew that they were real, as opposed to
Right.
like the space stuff where it's like I don't know if it's real or not. And so like I looked up like all kinds of like learning about Ada Lovelace. Lord Byron's daughter, like that
Right.
was interesting. Learning about the Mandelbrot set, like that was interesting. I looked up, Michael Faraday, like, the Mary Rose wreck. Like I had all these like things that like and it was so cool to like just learn more about like our world,
Yes.
The Mary Rose wreck is really cool. I forget now like what the reference to
That's
it was.
a boat?
Yeah, it was a boat. But it's all on display. It's like they have like half of it, so it's like almost like a cross section of a
Really?
boat. It's like an old, sailing, but it's like huge, and so it's like in like a encased. It might have been when they were talking about how they were going to preserve the Titanic in that part,
Yeah.
because the boat's wood. So I guess
Yeah,
like
I remember he
preserving it-
talks about how it's even harder to preserve wood that's been underwater.
and so they have it, but it's real. Like they have it, like if you look up the pictures of it, they have it in like a giant like glass box thing that like
Underwater?
you can no above water, but it's
in,
all like
it's in water, right?
no, it's all climate controlled. It's
Oh,
like
okay,
a
okay.
like museum
Got it.
quality, whatever. But it's just like it's in like this little like dome, and like here's a picture. So it's like there it is right there, and then this is where people on the side is where people can stand and look at it. Like, isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Especially, because it's so big.
Yeah,
That's so crazy.
it's huge. It's like 3 floors. Like,
Imagine like back in like the 1700s when
yeah.
people were just cutting through the ocean all over like the Caribbean,
It's just amazing.
like sailing back and forth from Europe to Africa to the
Yeah.
Caribbean to the United States to Brazil.
Yeah.
Just like many hundreds of years where it was just constant. And like these people had to get so good at it to the point
Yeah.
where it wasn't a big deal that they were doing it. It's
Oh,
like
I
this is just my
know.
job.
I remember when the show, I think it was the History Channel, did Vikings, and I remember when I first started watching it, I was just like fascinated by the sailing aspect,
Yeah.
and just like how prolific their seafaring was.
Right.
It was just, and like also like the idea that like you have this small area that you know about, but then to broaden your world, you
Right.
like get on a boat and you go, like, you know, like imagine when like they discovered England,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And then, you know, theoretically they discovered Iceland. Like, could you imagine?
It's
Like-
it's cool too because it's so comparable to exploring space.
Right.
Because
Right.
like, say they discover some ice encrusted useless landmass.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as us going to the moon.
Totally.
It's like cool that we did it, but let's move on because
Right.
there's nothing here for us.
Right.
You know?
It's really wild.
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, it's just it's barely science fiction.
Barely.
Yeah, I feel like it's no. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a whole thing at the end.
Yeah, the ending
Yeah.
is cool. I mean, we could just say so. Basically, aliens. I already said it.
Yeah.
Aliens show
Yeah.
up thousands of years
Yeah.
later and basically finish the work that they
Right.
couldn't do in the book in 2012.
Yeah.
So that part's amazing.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, and then you should, if you're listening to this, you should tune in. There's only 2 more novels to cover. One of them is a standard asteroid headed to Earth situation with a Clarke spin, and then we have 3001: A Space Odyssey, or 3001 Odyssey, the Final Odyssey.
The Final Odyssey.
Yes. And I'm excited. I think I'd mentioned I really would like for us to watch Greenland,
Oh, yes. You
which
did
I'm
mention
pretty
that.
sure is on
Yes.
HBO.
Okay.
Cannot guarantee it's going to be good.
Yeah.
It's probably going to suck.
I can't believe we forgot essentially to like watch a movie.
I didn't forget. I just knew I wouldn't have
I
time.
literally forgot.
I figured you would have watched
Yeah.
it. It's good, man. Chronicle's a great movie.
Yeah. I don't know what I was thinking. Actually, what I was thinking is I got caught up in Squid Game.
Oh, Jesus. I'm sure you did. That's cool.
It's good though.
Yeah, is there? There's a good Netflix show on? Get out of here! Stop it. Is it good?
It is good.
Okay,
It's good. It's way more horrifying than I thought it would be, which is really exciting.
sweet.
You know, like, I mean, I came from, you know, I come from, like, you know, Battle Royale, like,
Right.
you know, before Hunger Games, like,
Yes.
get out of here, right? I mean, Battle Royale, like, that when I was a teenager and I saw that, I was like, I mean, that changed my life.
Yeah,
You know, like, there's certain things that you, like, see and experience that just, like, change your perspective.
right.
And that was one of them. And so, like, I kind of, you know, because we've been doing things, you know, like Hunger Games and The Hunt and,
Yeah.
you know, Hostel and, you know, where you just like capture and torture people and
Right.
whatever. I thought this was going to be standard. It was pretty horrifying.
You thought that was going to be standard? A giant lady, a giant doll playing red light, green light? That seemed standard to you?
It really did. Like, and up until like the action happens in that scene, I thought it was going to be standard.
Okay.
I really was just like, I sat there with like my hand in front of my mouth. I was like, okay, wow, they're doing this. They're really doing this.
What do they do? Just kill everybody?
Yeah.
That's okay.
No, but like, it's just like, I thought it would be like I was thinking it would just be like, it would start out like small, but like, no.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
They
it's
go
just
all in the
it
beginning?
is, and it's horrifying.
Okay.
Like how it and everything, and like, I mean, like you literally like you blink an eye and they gun you down. Like it was wild.
Wow. Does it take place in the future?
No, current day.
Weird.
Yeah, it's just like it's a typical like, you know, crazy mastermind kind of thing. Like,
Just got money.
yeah, and then like where we are right now, it's like you're finding out that it's like not just like one crazy person, that it's like this thing that's like been going on. So it's like an underground, like, you know, like group,
Okay.
you know, maybe like some bored rich people were like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it is, the idea is standard in this day and age, which is horrifying. But how they do it is really good. It's done really well.
Dude, remember the movie The Pest?
No, what is that?
Come on, John Leguizamo.
Oh.
When the guy's like, I hunt people.
Oh, yeah.
And he chooses John Leguizamo to hunt. Yeah. Dude, that movie's amazing. Remember the opening scene when he's in the shower, like singing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah. Remember when he's looking?
He's
dude,
awesome.
He's amazing.
He's so awesome.
Remember when he's like, I mean, there's so many good lines, and I'm going to have to rewatch it so I can really spout the good lines. But like when he's in that library, I probably don't remember this, but he goes to the dude's house. He's like a rich German guy.
Yeah.
He's like in the library, and he's like reading all these like stupid titles of books that like would be on his level. And then he gets one, he goes, ooh, sex be nimble, sex be quick. And he takes out, he's like leafing through it. So funny.
He's one of those people, like, I it's like, where did he go? Like, he was so
What do you
hot.
mean, where did he go?
No, like, I mean, I know, like, but like,
He's in John Wick.
no, I know, but like, he's not like everywhere. There was a time where he was like everywhere.
Right,
Remember his like stand up? It wasn't even like, it was like they were performances.
Yeah.
And they were so good.
He's the man.
So good, yeah.
He did a thing on Netflix that was like, it was like teaching white people about Latino culture.
Yeah.
But it was kind of funny.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Spawn?
I'm sure I have.
The superhero movie from like the 90s.
Sounds familiar.
He's the reason that movie is watchable because he plays this. Remember, he's like he's in a fat suit and he's like really short and he has like a blue painted face.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, dude, that whole thing is just amazing that he is in that.
That's what I'm saying. He was like in everything for a while.
Yeah, I get what you're saying for
Yeah.
sure. And like he's in that Moulin Rouge. He's like a little guy.
Yes, he's so good in that.
Yeah.
And isn't he in? Am I making this up? Is he in Tu Wong Fu?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's one of the three.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's amazing.
He's the one who Heather loves this. When they're sitting at the booth, and there's a picture, I think, of the girl, Julie Newmar, and he's like, look at this picture, and try to describe it without using the word fabulous, and he's like, oh my god, he's like, she's wearing this really nice dress. Oh my god, I can't do it. He's like, I just can't do it without saying fabulous. That movie's amazing.
Yeah, he's amazing.
So anyway, if this book had John Leguizamo in it, it would be better.
Oh, absolutely.
But
I think if you got the right cast, this could be an interesting movie.
Yeah, I'd be more. I would be down with a movie that's just about the octopus.
Oh, definitely.
Like where it culminates in
right.
Yes, it is an octopus.
Yes,
and it's like a crazy scene at the end.
Yeah, we could have the side trip to the villa. I'm still like just so caught up on that. Like, what the heck? Like, what the actual heck, Clarke?
You can say fuck on this podcast.
No, I know, but it just there's something about like Arthur C. Clarke that makes me not want to swear.
I got you.
Like he's just wholesome.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah, so we should wrap it up. Basically, you should tune in for the next couple episodes because it's gonna be raucous.
And who knows what like weird side tangent will go on? Like,
dude, I'm worried.
Who knew I was gonna talk about? We were gonna talk about John Leguizamo.
I know. Yeah. I'm a little nervous about the Hammer of God because I don't remember it.
Really?
Yeah. I have a feeling it's gonna be one of these plotless where it's like even though danger is imminent,
right.
It's like gonna go off in side tangents. I really don't. I don't remember it. Although I do remember that it has my favorite line that Clarke has ever written.
Oh. The
concept of, obviously more elaborate than what I'm going to say, basically the concept that a virgin birth could never produce a male. About, like, why would Jesus be a dude if he came from Mary and only Mary?
Totally down with this.
So anyway, yeah. So you should tune in for that, and we'll definitely be watching Greenland for that.
Nice.
Which neither of us have seen, and it's relatively new.
Nice.
And, you know,
cool.
We'll have things to say. Maybe it'll be as bad as 2010 and we can have fun making fun of it.
I hope so.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's it. Thank you for joining us and join us next time.
This has been a Su Madre production. Thank you for joining us.